Hey guys, we are live with the Nitty Gritty Dirt Show that was supposed to take place yesterday. I'll explain why it didn't. So we are doing it live on my YouTube channel, Podcast on a Pole / the Dirty Sheets. I am the dirt side of the show, and I am the show because you can't really do the show without me, as you probably found out. And we are missing Mr. Nitty and Gritty. He's not here, and I've replaced him with my colleague from the Dirty Sheets, Mr. Cav Manning.
Hello. I do the Lingus Mafia podcast, as most of you know that actually listen to all of our nonsense. So I'm going to guide Billy through his news. Do you want to first tell us why you weren't on the regular show in the first place?
Yeah, I wasn't on the show because I got bitten by one of these fucking horseflies that are around. I didn't know what a horsefly was. I know all about it today. But everybody seemed to tell about it, turned around and went, I got bitten by a horsefly, thinking, it would be like, I would have to explain there's these things going around this summer. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, that's horrible. I've been bitten by that. Yeah. So it's like everybody knew what it was. So I tell Russo about this, and I tell him a good 2.5 hours before the show. So he doesn't respond to me at all. So I think this is fine. This is probably going to be fine. That we're still going to be on for the I say I'm going to be, which is only about, I believe, said I was going to be on 2 hours later, and that was just to be safe. I actually got home way before that from the hospital. They'd seen it all before, so they just gave me some bite cream and some antibiotics. But he didn't respond to me at all. So I texted him later on and said, "Are we still doing the show?" He went, "No, I did it already." So I was like, "How did you do a new show without me?" He was like, "Oh, I just read out wrestling." I just Wrestling Inc. He goes, I work on a tight schedule. I need notice. At which point I said to him, yeah, sorry, next time I'm going to get bitten by a horsefly, I'll let you know beforehand. So, it was kind of like frosty. I'm sure I'll be fine because I've had a couple of these with Russo over the last year, 15 months. And
I was going to say over the last 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah. So two of them have been more recent, and then previously we've had a couple before, but it's not a big deal. I'm not fussed about it. The thing is, the only reason I even wanted to do the show is because that show doesn't come together with me reading out a couple of text messages or whatever. I got to fucking put that show together. Wrestling news isn't what it was years ago or during the Attitude Era. So you have to fish around. You have to talk to 3-4 people just to get 3-4 bits. So yeah, it takes an effort to put that show together. And obviously the main part is all the news is right. There's continuously shit happening on WWE that's right. I was a guy saying don't count your chickens with Lashley and Brock Lesnar happening. Lashley and Brock Lesnar happening because he's being kept back for Roman Reigns in case The Rock can't do WrestleMania. And obviously now The Rock probably can do WrestleMania because they're moving that forward. I was a guy that told people about this Happy Corbin thing. I was a guy that told people that Becky's coming in on top and that Fox wanted both Brock and Becky because Fox had been fucked over by not having Brock and Becky and by the fact that WWE signed with Peacock and the fact that WWE let CM Punk go to AEW after Fox had put them two together. So lots of stuff for me came to fruition this week. Did I mention Happy Corbin?
You did just now. Yeah, you said it. And you had said about the copyright before that they had sent out some copyrights for the name Happy Corbin back in the day.
Yes, so I've sent the YouTube link out now, so we should have some people watching or some people catching up with the show anyway. Because I've done it, so you guys can listen to this obviously here live. You can watch this video. If you don't like watching videos, we're posting this on our podcast feed as well. So this will be out on the Dirty Sheets. We've had a massive amount of downloads this week. I may talk to Cav back around to going weekly. Although I think you think the surprise podcasts work better. Just the whole not having a day and just dropping
they do. I think they're more special. It's when we have something to talk about instead of okay, the show sucks again. Let's talk about what is shitty about it. Now it's there's a reason for it. So somebody would be hungry to hear what we have to say when it comes down to it. I do like that. And when also, we're going to have special guests, that sure as fuck helps too.
Yeah. Also, we are going to be having our head focused on the NFL stuff as well over the next month because so if you want to get all of my official NFL stuff, it's over at lockbetting.com. I've just had just recorded my 99th month of transparent track profit. So in September, I'm going for the 100th. So I haven't had a losing month now for 8 years and 3 months. So I'm going for 8 years and 4 months and my 100th month in a row. So that's where all our official NFL stuff is happening. But if you just want to hear me and Cav preview it, we are going to be putting out AFC preview on the day sheets, and we'll have more information about where we can find our NFL for the rest of the year. Cav, am I coming across clearly? Because on the StreamYard bar, I've only got like 2 bars out of 3.
You are popping here and there. It's a little bit of that robot voice here and there. I'm not a fan of this platform at all. But yeah. So, but yeah,
anyway,
you know what's funny is I'm going to have to take from this to put the audio for the podcast, because as I was doing GarageBand, it was giving me a problem where I have to reset the computer, and I'm not resetting it while we're doing this. So I'm just going to take the audio from our YouTube here to put that on there. So,
I'll tell you what I'm a fan of is the way I don't notice it like in the mirrors that my Aaron Rodgers is looking distinguished here.
I was thinking, I go, that mustache is dark where all the rest you can see through a little bit. But if you want to do the Aaron Rodgers other than, have one dick in one hand, you got to have to shave everything except for the fireman gay man's mustache. That's what you have to do.
I've gone for fireman's mustache with 5 to 7 day growth depending around it. So
I thought that was 845 shadow for you. It grows back that quick.
I'm not that Taliban for that.
So do we want to start off with, you gave a little bit of this on the last Dirty Sheets podcast that we did when we had Conan and Disco, and for you those of you who didn't listen, go listen to that. But we were talking about Sasha, why she wasn't at SummerSlam. So do you want to go over that, touch on that a little bit, since we already explained, but go for it?
Yeah, I mean, it's on detail over the sheets because I don't want to re-go over those COVID rules. First of all, my phone is set up for different stories. I'll have one quick go at it and see if I can bring it up. Otherwise, I'm just going to basically give you the gist of what the rules are, which are basically you can't do anything, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't go out to certain places. You can't. They're making it so you just say fuck it. It's easier to get the shot.
Yeah, all right, I got it anyway, so it doesn't matter. So we will do it. We will do it in a thorough way. So what happened with Sasha Banks is that she doesn't have COVID. This is what reported. Oh, Sasha got COVID, and she obviously decided that she had to obviously pull her from the match because she kept failing tests or whatever. There's so much bullshit out there. And the thing is that when people get all of this shit wrong, like this week they said, oh, Becky's going to be a full-fledged heel and Karrion Kross is on a losing streak until Scarlett comes back. None of that is true. But then they never say why it's not true. There's this week, Sean Ross Sapp, that moron, has come out and said, oh, Brock Lesnar's got a 1.5 year deal for at least 8 matches. Well, we are the only ones who accurately reported the Brock deal throughout. And I'm going to get to that at the end of the show because I know people love hearing about Brock. And I've actually managed to get through shows and kill 5 to 10 minutes on shows by simply just repeating Brock Lesnar's contract on shows over and over, and people want to hear about it. So we'll talk about Brock at the end. But in this Sasha situation, what she did was she broke the rules and they got Becky Lynch in to replace her. Now, initially, the rule break happened the week before, which is why her and Bianca missed out on house shows because Bianca had been around Sasha and Sasha had been a rule breaker. So they both had to miss the show. So that was what happened with Bianca missing it. Through the next 7 days, Sasha and Bianca were not around each other. So Bianca was allowed to work SummerSlam. And Sasha went home, obviously, to isolate for those 7 days, but did not come back for the SmackDown or SummerSlam. And the reason being was simply because she says she doesn't want to be held to these COVID rules because she doesn't feel like it's it's fair or possible that she does. So the COVID rules that she has an issue with are this: if you have had in relation to COVID testing, if you have had the vaccine, there is no daily testing required. If you are unvaccinated, there has to be daily testing. In relation to masks, if you are vaccinated, they are not required at the facility or during travel. The facility will include the hotel, and this is why there was a breach. Unvaccinated people are not required to wear masks at the facility. If you are vaccinated, you do not need to social distance. No distancing required with other vaccinated individuals. So the vaccinated must still social distance from the unvaccinated, or the unvaccinated must stay away from the vaccinated, which makes it very difficult to lay out a match, I would assume. Maybe you got to phone them up to do the match, and then you got to meet them in the ring,
and then you got to see them face to face anyway. So yeah, okay.
The unvaccinated must remain physically distant from others. Travel. Unvaccinated people may not leave the hotel to eat or interact with people outside their traveling party. Wow. The vaccinated people have no restrictions. As Cab said, this is completely geared towards making you get the vaccination. Someone's put here, you're not allowed to use this water fountain. I think that's going back to the joke where the black people were not allowed to drink from the white people. I put comments on here, so you may get some trolls, but you may get some funny guys as well. And for social life, vaccinated people have no restrictions, and the unvaccinated may not go to bars, clubs, house parties, concerts, etc. Obviously, this is just ridiculous, and it's just there to show you how much they're pushing you to get vaccinated and how serious they are. But I don't think they can police this at all. What they can police is the breach of may not leave the hotel to eat or interact with people outside your traveling party. And I believe that Sasha Banks interacted with Callisto but that's not confirmed.
Huh. And Callisto is vaccinated then?
Doesn't matter, because she's not allowed to.
She's not allowed to see anybody that's on the other side. It's like
she's allowed to come. She's allowed to come with her husband or she's allowed to declare a traveling party, which will be given 2 rooms, but she's not allowed to mix with the non-traveling party.
Do we know who else has not gotten that shot? Because it always seems to be just her. Is she the only one in here?
That's the assumption, and you're right to say that, but it's actually like a third of the company.
Okay, but everyone else is just goes by the rules.
Yeah, and I think that you can get like an idea from it, like when you look around the TV. I mean, Riker's gone from TV, and he was very much a Trumper. So you assume he's one of them.
See, that's what's weird to me. It's like it always goes with that people that aren't getting the shots are more Trump people, which I think they are. But at the same time, he's out there telling people to get the shot.
And I hate that because I don't like Trump and I'm anti-vax. For me, it's about the doctors and people coming out
putting
and saying,
chemical into yourself. Yeah. So yeah, it is weird because it's always like the southern states over here, which are very hillbillied out. And, so that's where that comes from with this. When it comes down to Becky coming back, what were the plans originally for her and how did this come about that she took over for Sasha?
Yeah, so the original plans, which they've been hinting at on television for a few weeks, was to come out and to challenge Charlotte after Charlotte had won. So the return was supposed to be SummerSlam. There were stories out saying that this was supposed to be kept back for the draft. It wasn't, because once you know that CM Punk's coming back on AEW, you want to counter that with as much as you can. Plus, as I've mentioned, there was a need to appease Fox, who they've really pissed off over the last year. So they now have Becky and Brock Lesnar. But the idea was here to come out and confront Charlotte. Obviously, that gives the USA Network something. I forget what happened recently where they pissed off USA. It's not in my notes, but I need to think about that, because recently they did something that USA were not happy about. And USA will be even less happy about Becky and Brock being over there. But you have to like satisfy 2 people, and the likelihood of renewing the USA deal is far bigger than renewing the Fox deal. So Becky was supposed to come out and challenge Charlotte. Charlotte would have dropped the belt to Becky, I assume it's at Extreme Rules, and moved on to the Queen of the Ring tournament. And I think her winning that would have revolved around these contract negotiations that she has. Now, the WWE like to put people under contract on some specific dates. September the 1st, after you've worked SummerSlam. May the 1st, which usually means you've worked WrestleMania and you can leave afterwards. Or January the 1st, just because it's very, very clean. You don't really find contract expirations happening on other dates unless people, were signed or bought to the main roster from NXT specifically at that time. But even if you're a Shield, for example, coming up to the main roster, like they did in November 2012, they still worked NXT deals for 6 weeks until contracts were given on January the 1st, 2013. So it's very clean the way it's done. Deals are also 1 year, 3 year, or 5 year. So you don't have many 2 or 4 year deals in 2 or 4 year deals in there. It's just weird. It's just the odd numbers. And yeah, they usually expire on these specific dates. A la Adam Cole. Adam Cole being available now. So or being available this coming week. So yeah, there's all that to factor in. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Charlotte now. She is the champion. There are people on that show she can drop it to. They can also do the draft. And as for Becky, she's not a heel. She's Conor McGregor. She as I said, when someone said she was going to be a heel, well, Conor McGregor's not a heel. He's a guy that says shit to react, and loads of people act like it. I wish we did the show yesterday, because on SmackDown she said, I want to take this time to say sorry to absolutely no one, which is Conor McGregor saying, I'd like to take this time to apologize for absolutely no one. So believe this or not, I had this in my notes before yesterday's promo. In fact, Cav knows that, because the timestamp of this is 8:56 UK time yesterday when these notes were finished. So yeah, that's exactly what she's doing.
And wasn't she always this way, though? I mean, she was always that when she got into that character, the badass she was the female Austin. So it wasn't the bad guy, good guy. It was just she did what was good for her, and fuck you. And people liked it.
And people liked it, yeah. I mean, obviously, eventually they put her up against heel opponents as we move forward. And there were times where she was attacked from behind, etc. If you're looking at the situation with Shayna. But yeah, obviously you have to start here with Bianca. I wouldn't be surprised, and I don't know this for a fact because I don't think they know this, what they're doing yet. But I would be surprised if they come to the decision that Becky has to beat Bianca again, and then Bianca goes over to Raw, and then they can do the whole Black Women's Champion thing on Raw whilst having Becky as the champion of SmackDown, whereas Becky was supposed to be on Raw and Bianca was supposed to get a longer run on SmackDown. They can now swap them over and do it on the other side. Plus, I'm far more interested when we get to Mania with Sasha and Becky doing something together, because they're the two top women for me, as opposed to Bianca doing anything. But, Bianca can easily go there and beat Charlotte on Charlotte's way out if Charlotte doesn't sign a new deal. Or if she does, Bianca can chase Charlotte to WrestleMania. Because as much as I'm not high on women's wrestling, I do think that there's interest in Sasha versus Becky done properly and Bianca versus Charlotte done properly. So I do think they could get something there, especially if Ronda is not doing the Dallas show. Go on.
Do you have any idea of when this Queen of the Ring is happening? Because, of course, they don't tell us a thing until day before, practically.
King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring is both concluding in Saudi. So obviously,
so it's on Raw or SmackDown all the way up to so it's not like here's a pay-per-view for it.
No, I don't know, and they don't know, because they don't know how they're going to fill the card yet. They're still talking to people to be on that card. Obviously, you're going with Lashley versus Goldberg and Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. So underneath that, everything else, I think a full tournament would be lost. I mean, you're looking at the women's Queen of the Ring would be 7 matches, and the men's King of the Ring would be 7 matches if done in the old school proper way. Mm-hmm. Even if you did semis and a final, that's 6. So you still wouldn't need much else.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of them taking it away from a pay-per-view and doing qualifying matches each week to see who gets in. And I'm like, that's not King of the Ring. The whole point is to do it all in one night and show that you could roll the entire night.
Yeah, so I mean, the Queen of the Ring's weird. I think the plan is to cut her hands off as soon as she wins for daring to try to win. For daring to try and call herself a queen. It's very weird, but it's also very much, I think that I believe, sorry, I keep pulling my head out. It's so fucking hot here. And like this particular strand of hair is like dripping into my eye. It's like boiling in there. It's because of this light that I've got. I've got a real professional setup here now.
Except for the room that echoes, ladies and gentlemen, which you all complain about. We know.
Yeah,
you got to get in a closet of some sort with Nyla Rose, but get in a closet so you have like soundproofing shit around you. Like this room is filled with so much shit, you're not hearing an echo at all. But you're in a pretty you have brick wall. You have the walls that are semi-bare. There's not that are covered out of your mind out there, so you're gonna have some echo.
Yeah, you sound like Mike Durbin, like a guy on the brand, like who hates me for not having a mic. He's always like attacking. He's always attacking me for how my shows sound all the time.
I hear it constantly. I get tweets. I get people that message me on texting me. They go, "How come Bill?" I go, "I know, I know." But I'm like, one day I'm gonna make you get the Rodecaster Pro, like me and Russo have, with our great, drops that we have on here, where I could do all this kind of stuff and a nice microphone that you could whole room. This is your profession. You need a studio room for this and make it fucking nice and crystal clear. That's what I think's next for you.
Oh, for the SGP show, I go and I actually go and sit. I go and do it. I always do it under my bed covers.
See that? So you care more about that show than you do about this. Very clear. I used to do that too. I used to throw a fucking back in the old days, my old apartment. Me and Fauci, we'd be sitting under a fucking blanket, fucking sweating to death. So
pay me seven times more, and I'll look. For me, this is all like this up. Like even the wall behind me is decorated with a gap, which the idea was to sit between it.
Oh. Meanwhile, I'm adding more TVs to this room, so I'll have 6 TVs for football season.
You're sick with that. You're sick with that football shit. Like with the fucking. I don't know how you even
love it.
Concentrate. You don't even like heavily gamble.
Not heavily. No. So on. Are we done with that one? Because I got another one for you after this.
Yeah. We'll move on to this this iconic story. Right?
Yes, please do tell me the Iiconics story because I've been waiting for them to pop up somewhere else. What's the story with them?
Yeah, this is a quick one. We'll move on from this one quickly. Well, in fact, there's a few bits here. We'll move on quickly and we'll discuss these last two in more detail. So the Iiconics now got their visas. So they were people that were fired with W. So the way it works is that you need to come in, and if you want to work and be self-employed, you need to be like approved for your visa. If you want to come to the US and be self-employed, that's very, very rare, because the only way they would do that is if the country needs you. So if you want to go there and be like a solicitor or a doctor, an independent doctor or a psychologist, or whatever, it's normally like if the USA or Canada, if they need you, they'll let you in. Like they don't need you, independent pro wrestlers, right? So so the way that works is that an AEW or a WWE have to already give you a job, and it's called like sponsorship. So they were there as a sponsor without making an individual application for their visa, in terms of saying, hey, we're actual individual celebrities now who have been on this product for a while with our verified Twitter accounts, and we have a real media presence independently in the US, which is what you need to do. It's their fault, right? But WWE fired them before they had these independent contractor visas. So basically they sat on the sidelines for a while without having any income or anything, waiting for their visas so that they could actually come in and they should actually come in and work. So now they've got those visas and they've stayed in the US and got them. They are now rebranding themselves as Inspiration, and they will be appearing on indie shows together. There's no interest in them from AEW or from TNA. So that's probably why they're doing this as well. Because I think had one of those companies given them the sponsorship, then they probably, then they would not probably, they would have been able to stay and start working. And they would have taken it, because doing this independent stuff and the podcast they're doing, and that's another thing. They couldn't even register to get paid for their own podcast that they were doing. Like, they couldn't make any money from it. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. You set up a podcast with a company and you don't clear the funds. Like, you leave it like what we do, a podcast and a poll, like we're leaving all the money there for our honeymoon together.
Sure.
So that's what they're doing. That's what they're trying to do.
I'm really surprised the husband couldn't at least pull a string or say, hey, Tony Khan has hired everybody. So, yeah. I mean, and that would be one I would actually get if I was him, because they're known. I would think he could put her in that little group with Spears as the hot girl in the group. It would work. They could do something with that, but. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he has the stroke, though, to be honest. I think he's lucky to have his job.
I was just going to say he's lucky to be there.
Yeah. Someone said here, what do you make of Juve losing? I'm not happy about that. And what happened to the Bellas comeback to win the tag titles? Well, I'm not 100% sure that will happen, because the issue with that is that Daniel Bryan isn't there and Total Bellas isn't a show anymore. So whilst WWE were counting...
Is Total Bellas done?
I think so. I think it's like totally, yeah.
Oh, I had a great review show when that was on. That was one of my best review shows, because I was screaming the whole fucking time.
Yeah, so that was the last season. So that was one of, when Daniel Bryan knew that was one of his contractual obligations, was to do Total Bellas during his contract. I believe had Total Bellas come on for his wife's sake, he would have stayed, and he would have stayed at his WWE job, which was about to turn into a very part-time contract, whilst being one of the road agents and one of the creative team on SmackDown. So that was what Daniel Bryan was doing. He was already on the creative team on SmackDown. He was involved, but he was getting a deeper role. Through that role, he had pitched for Nikki Bella to come on board as being the sort of the head of the women's creative.
You imagine?
This is her dream job. Like, she's wanted to work. She wanted to work on creative for years. And Daniel Bryan fixed it for her, but Daniel Bryan isn't there, because she was going to be working with Daniel Bryan in terms of so it was going to be a trio of Bryan and Tyson Kidd and Nikki Bella sort of putting together the women's stuff, and then Bryan would also branch out to work with other people there on the show, including my guy, who I've mentioned is now the head writer. But yeah, that's not come to fruition without Daniel Bryan. I think you can already see with Nikki's comments when she went to the SummerSlam red carpet, where she turned around and said that there was nothing good that pleased her on SummerSlam, and the way they treated Bianca was disgusting. I took that as a translation of "fuck you" because I'm not getting my job that I always wanted. So,
yeah, and where she's running around with "I have ideas" and "I'm a talent." She is a woman that has been told her whole life by guys and everybody who wanted to get with her, oh, you're so smart, you're so talented, and they tell them what they want to hear.
We say that on our show.
You're gorgeous. It's 100%.
You say that about Lana dancing. You say all the guys, everybody told her she's a really talented dancer.
They say you're brilliant. Oh my God! Because how many women have you said that to, Bill? Oh my God! I can't believe how talented you are. Where you're like, give me a fucking break. And everyone has told her a million times, over and over, how talented she is.
Has your girlfriend,
she thinks she has a fucking talent.
Has your girlfriend ever pointed out another girl and said, "Oh, look how she's really beautiful, isn't she?"
Yeah, she said, "Oh, she's pretty" or something like that. Yeah, but and I'll agree if it's the case. I'll point out other problems with the woman, most likely.
No. Yeah, but it's not a celebrity. Like, I'm talking like a girl in real life.
No, that's very rare. That's very rare, and it's a thin line to walk. Because I gotta go, who? I didn't even notice that person. But this thing with the Nikki, I mean, even when it came to the wrestling shit, and I'm like, do people really believe they are Hall of Fame? Do you really think they belong to go into the Hall of Fame?
I think they're absolutely fine to go into the Hall of Fame. Like, once there's people in there where, Yeah,
That's the problem. When there's Coco in there, you go, well, how could you keep anybody the fuck out?
You always go to Coco, but like,
yes,
the Bellas are more important than Molly Holly. No matter how much people like her in wrestling and whatnot. You know, they've done more. I mean, they got their own spin-off TV show. Like Total Divas was really about the Bellas when it started as well. So,
I mean, would this happen if they weren't twins that wrestled? I don't think so. Not even
they
a
are.
little bit.
The facts are the fact. Yeah, individually, I don't think any of them would have had a career. But yeah, but the fact is they are twins. Like, you can't say, would this happen if this, that, and the other? The facts are that they are twins, so they've utilized that to have real Hall of Fame careers. I mean, the dicks they took don't hurt. So, I mean, I don't know how big they are, but I assume they don't hurt. Like, they don't hurt career-wise.
Well, from what we heard from Sonny is that Dolph's is curved to the side. So, you know, and Dolph was with Nikki before the implants. So that's why he was trying to probably get back with her. You have news on a new pay-per-view.
I do, yeah. New pay-per-view. This is out. This is actually widely out now, which is why I'm going to gloss over. It's a new pay-per-view called Day One, and it happens on January the 1st in Atlanta. Atalanta's a girl I know. I don't know why I just mentioned it.
Really? Her name is Atlanta?
Her name's Atalanta with an A.
Oh, wow. Is that a stripper?
Yeah, well, no, it is one of those like topless photos.
Okay.
No, yeah, one of those girls that shake her tits on the TV. So yeah, she's fucking not she. That they are going to be in Atalanta on January the 1st for the new pay-per-view called Day One. Anything to say about that?
Yeah, I mean,
before the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I am not a fan of 2 pay-per-views per month. And I'm not a fan of the whole crown jewel deal.
Like where the champion comes out with Santa. Like that's the way you finish the shows in December. Do you remember that we did that with Brett and Diesel?
The only one that like sticks in my head that was good is I remember when Paul Bear was they were beating the shit out of Undertaker and they said season's beatings, dead man. That's the only one I remember other than Santa Claus and shit like this that were horrible.
Santa Claus Corporation, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then it was Baby New Year. We had a Big Show and Gold Dust were doing baby gimmicks. This is what this has come down to. After that, give me something about what's going on with Samoa Joe.
Yeah, so Samoa Joe, there's some more information about what's going on with him. So, what was going on with him? So, he's now the NXT champion, which people find very odd because he was released at one point. But that release in particular was a very fake release. Now, the inside story of it is that Joe wanted to wrestle and WWE wanted him to be a commentator. So Joe wanted to do what he wanted to do. They butted heads with it. And in the end, they allowed Joe to wrestle after they released him. Why did they release him? Well, at the time they released him, it was the month of the concussion lawsuit, which was still going on. So what they needed to do, which they won, by the way, like the concussion lawsuit was thrown out, and then it got thrown out by the Supreme Court as well in April or May. So that's not happening anymore, the concussion lawsuit. So at the time, they could not be seen to be winning the concussion lawsuit and bringing back a guy into the ring who had previously had a concussion, because they would have, because their defense was their defense was the guys that were suing, they were saying that WWE knowingly let them do things knowing about concussions. Well, WWE now clearly know about concussions. So if they allow Joe to wrestle, it would be brought up by the defense in court against the WWE. So the smartest thing to do was to not allow Joe to wrestle during that time, even though he was cleared. And in fact, what they did, they released him and allowed him to come back. What that does is that gives you a clean medical record as a brand new employee on a contract. So it sounds like bullshit. It sounds like, oh, that's some technical bullshit. Well, it is some technical bullshit, because what it means is Samoa Joe used to work here. He used to have concussions. He went on to commentary. He wanted to wrestle. We let him go. We're clean. of this whole situation. Hence we understand concussions. Hiring Samoa Joe back is he wanted to be a wrestler. We signed him after he did concussion tests, and so on their records of this new contract, there's no history of concussions with the company. So he comes in with a clean bill of health. Also, once you come back, there's no wellness violations and things like that, which is surprising to me why they never fired Randy Orton and rehired him again, even for like a month. Because this was the difference here is just simply Nick Khan in terms of cleaning up every kind of transgression that they could possibly make, in terms of allowing someone who obtained a concussion under your watch to come back into the ring. Whereas now they've let him go. They've gone away and funded him to be independently tested for various concussions with various places. And he's come back with a clean contract with a clean concussion test. So yeah, that's the technical reasons behind that.
Do you have any news on what's up with the new NXT yet?
I don't know what that is. I think the idea is just to have it less orientated around independent people, and you're going to see more guys kind of bought in who don't make it to the NFL and MMA and things like that.
I saw a friend of mine named Vinny Massaro, who is a wrestler and stuff. He tweeted something really good. He said AEW got living color, NXT got in living color. Because doesn't it look exactly like the in living color fucking beginning of the show where they had to splatter the paints and all that shit all over the place?
It looks like that LGBT bullshit.
Oh, I'm just like, it looked 90s to me with all the bright coloring shit like that. I'm like, here we go. I'm like, they got to ruin shit that's good. They just got to ruin shit. So,
imagine like they have a fucking transgender title.
Nyla Rose, come on down. Nyla Rose versus Charlotte. Here we go. Give me some info on CM Punk and his merchandise.
All right, so this is the final bit of news that I have this week. So CM Punk, WWE didn't want him. He was put on the table to them by Fox. He was put on the table for re-signing. He was delivered to WWE. They didn't want him. They delivered a whole bullshit spreadsheet to Fox in terms of how CM Punk was not a needle mover. How Neil had this new term that's come in. How CM Punk was not he was not a good merchandise seller. How he was not good on pay-per-views. Everything that they delivered was from the entire time Punk was there. Whilst they only pushed this guy from 2011 onwards. So when they were making comparisons and they were saying, this is why we're paying John Cena $3 million for 1 month. This is why we're paying Edge $3 million per year to do 4 matches. This is why we're paying Brock Lesnar, $500,000 per performance because he does this, that, the other. CM Punk does nothing. So Fox and they were also very, 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 very adamant that he lost his pull from the UFC losses as well. Because
oh my god,
Vince McMahon is old school and doesn't like to see wrestlers being beaten up in real life. So at one point, if you recall, he lost interest in Dave Bautista because Bautista lost a real fight to Booker T, and like he went down the card for a bit. So and that was a fight no one even publicly saw. So yeah, he's a weird guy, and Fox weren't buying into it. So they said we'll supplement the money that you want to pay. So if you think he's worth 1.5 million, we'll pay 1.5 million because AEW have offered him 3 million. This was widely known that because Punk talks to Fox and he told him what AEW had offered. So WWE said no. Fox said they'd pay up the rest of the money. WWE said no. Actually, there's more to it. He's very bad for the locker room. He's not liked. He's difficult to work with. Nobody wants him here. He's moody. And we just think it will be a really bad for morale. So Fox just gave up in the end. They just couldn't win that argument, which is probably why we're seeing Becky and Brock on SmackDown. And Punk goes over to AEW for the $3 million and the biggest merchandise deal cut anybody's ever had of 20% on the merchandising. And the information I have, he is really going to milk the fuck out of that 20%. Like he wants everything that he didn't get in the WWE, which is going to include sponsors on his gear, like in terms of if he can go and get a deal with Reebok, Adidas, Tap Out, whatever, he's going to have that shit on his tights and trunks. The 20% cut of his t-shirts. Say so over what goes over his t-shirts. We've already seen the ice cream bars, which I think will end up being sold. He's now working with Jeremy Padua. Now, if people don't know Jeremy Padua is, you probably don't. He's verified on Twitter and Instagram. He was the guy that delivered he worked for Jax. He works for Jax, and he was the head of the entire Jax Classics figure line. He now works for AEW's figure line, which is a real nice like figure line. Like everybody looks really like the people. So it's a really good figure line. Now he's express made a CM Punk figure, quicker turnaround than any figure in history. So not only is he doing that, but he's working with Punk on other things. There is now a one-off auto deck card, number 0 of what numbers. So it's 0 of 0, basically a one-off card from auto deck that they are selling just for $5.99 for one trading card. Just an exclusive CM Punk trading card. That deal was done with Autodeck and Jeremy Padua for AEW for them to just produce one limited edition CM Punk card, which is on sale now. So this guy, who obviously has been producing comic books and things, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see that too, like an AEW comic, which Punk's involved in. I'm just speculating here, but I know he's working with Padua, and I know that this guy is going to have more merchandise which is thought of by himself than anybody else. Someone's put, when did Billy become such a huge CM Punk mark? Like, how am I marking out here, dickhead? Giving you the fucking information. Like, this is information.
Well, you do love Punk. You were way. You even said that was your guy back in that day and all that stuff. So
but that's not coming across from what I'm saying here. Like, I'm not saying I'm. And look, the thing is that. It's like, this is the problem I have with this audience, and it's not just like Russo's audience. It's when there's a wide audience, right? There's a wide audience, and we call them like marks and social justice warriors, and then this Russo audience is supposed to be like cool. Well, they think they are, but the thing is that what they think we're supposed to do here on this show or a Russo show, just because Vince Russo does it, is to criticize everything that isn't the Attitude Era, because sometimes Russo's thing is that. I wrote the only good shit that happened in wrestling, and since I left, it's been terrible. Well, that's not actually true, because there was bits in the Ruthless Aggression era where I was not turned off by it. It was an easy watch for me. In fact, I didn't even go to WrestleMania until the Ruthless Aggression era. Some of that was financial, but at the same time, if it was so bad, I never needed to start. I still went to. I still went to WrestleMania based on things that happened in the Ruthless Aggression era. So wrestling was fairly decent at times during the Ruthless Aggression era. We've had moments like the Summer of Punk. We've had the return of Brock Lesnar. We've had things, right? I'm not going to run through every single thing that we've had from, CM Punk's run to, when they gave Daniel Bryan the title or whatever. Like, you cannot sit there and say it's been completely shit for 22 years, because if you've been watching something shit for 22 years, you're stupid. But I think at this point, if it doesn't improve now, I could be watching for 22 years without the improvement, because I think we're past the point where people like me and you are going to leave. But I think at that point, after the Attitude Era, people could have left if it wasn't really good. And for some people, it wasn't to their taste. But for me, I've liked plenty of stuff. And one of the people that I've liked is CM Punk, because while we were getting PG shoved down our throat, he was giving us a massive alternative to that. So, and when he was coming back, me and Cav were both like pretty excited about it. I was an enormous Punk fan when he debuted in WWE until he up and quit. What the fuck are you talking about? Like,
see, the quit thing, that's what I wrote, or that's what I said on the podcast on a poll, where someone tweeted out, he left us, he fucking deserted, and I understand that feeling as being a fan and being way immersed. And the older I've gotten, the more I look at it differently, where I don't think Vince is the end all be all. Like, he's a hero of mine for what he did and all that kind of stuff, McMahon. And so now it's like, well, quit and left us, deserted us. If you're at a job and you are fucking miserable, I don't care how much money you're making. Your job is your job. It's not, oh, I could just do this. If you're annoyed, if your boss gives you shit, you're tired of your fucking boss, you have the right to live your life and get the fuck out. It hurts. Sure, I would love to have had him in there for all these years. It's my personal enjoyment. For God bless you, you gave me a lot of fun. You gave me a lot of entertainment. I appreciate it. Enjoy your fucking life. You don't owe me shit. And I'm not this I bought your house guy. You know, how dare you? So him going to AEW, I start watching AEW when I'm hearing this going on. Like, I would catch something here and there. Fausti will go, hey, did you see something that happened? You should check this out at least. Because I record it, but I never watched it. So now WWE has been so fucking much of a bore, except SmackDown. I love SmackDown. Raw is so fucking painful. I'm like, I need the alternative. Where before, with me in WCW, I wanted Eric Bischoff dead. I fucking was on fire and I hated them. I wanted them gone. Now I appreciate it looking back. I go, fuck, we had options. You don't have to have one or the other. So now I am able to watch AEW. I don't dig certain things they do. I'm not a fan of the littler guys. I always grew up with I'm one of those Vince guys where I like the bigger size. I'm a size queen, Billy. So I'm like,
big men.
Yes, exactly. So I'm like, I think that needs to be in it. Like when I was in my wrestling school and I was doing, like, you had to go through all the same training. They were like, are you sure you don't want to wrestle? Because I was able to do all the stuff. And I go, no, because I don't fucking buy it. Even with myself, I didn't buy it. So, and yeah, I mean, the fucking place fucking explodes when fucking Punk's there. So I loved Punk too, from all the shit that he did and fucking running out of the building and all. It's fucking fantastic. So he's over there now. I could watch. I'm not buying the pay-per-view. That's gonna take some time for me to do. I'm happy to see what the fuck they do on TV, but I'm not getting pay-per-view for a while. I was thrilled when the network came out because now you don't have to buy a goddamn pay-per-view and it's $10 and I'm fucking done. I'm annoyed that they're on Peacock because it fucking sucks over there. You can't start the show at the beginning. You don't know what it's like, Billy. It's horrible. If you do not watch on time, you better sit around because it's start as it's going on. So if you don't start it on time, there's no start at the beginning, and then it's a couple hours later that it's available to watch. So Peacock's a fucking joke. But other than that, you could live your life. You quit a job and do what you want with your life. If you had all that millions of dollars. So if you had millions of dollars, these people make it like they would just stay at their job if they were unhappy. No, you wouldn't. You'd get that million and be gone the first second you could, so you could sit on the fucking couch.
I've walked out on this is why it resonates with me because I fucking first of all that arena in terms of that cheer, I've actually had the opposite reaction, like where I've been booed like that, right? Coming out to, I think it was like 5,000 people, but I enjoyed it because I dreamed about getting that reaction for the whole year when I watched that show like before, and I knew like the year before, okay, next year I'm going to try and get in, right? So I was such a dick in there, like, because I knew I wasn't going to be a person they voted for to win.
Talking about Big Brother, ladies and gentlemen.
No, so like I envision like, have I done enough like to get those boos? Like, are they going to boo me? And they fucking booed the shit out of me. So I know the satisfaction of like, for some people, for him, I'm sure Punk's the same. Some guys, they just want to be loved. And some guys, they want to get the opposite reaction. And some guys don't care what it is as long as they care. So for him, I'm sure like if they're booing the shit out of him in 2 years' time when he turns heel, like he's going to want it to go the opposite way, right? Whereas for me, like, I didn't play for cheers. I played for boos. So to get this whole building, like treating you like, that's as close to Jesus as you can fucking get on earth. That reaction, like even fucking Trump isn't going to get that. He's fucking rallies. Okay.
Yeah.
So like that is unbelievable to watch in the first place. So that I'm just emotional because the thing is that it's been so fucking shit, like to watch this stuff in terms of you're looking at the Attitude Era, sure, right? And we see the Hearts in Calgary, and we see later on when Mankind wins the title when Steve Austin helps him. We hear all that and we think, oh shit, them were the days. Them days are over. Them days are over. And then you get that night and you get to hear something which is live and you're experiencing it. It's not a rewind of something else. It's live. And he's the only person could elicit that reaction was him. I'll tell you why. Because he did walk out, right? Yeah. He quit, like you're saying. But what did he quit on? He quit on $20 to $25 million of what his next contract would have paid him across the next, well, maybe his next couple of contracts. Look, if he'd worked up until now in the WWE and he was retiring this month, right? And he carried on working and signing his deals and being in the top matches at WrestleMania or being in and around that, he would have earned between $20 to $25 million. He decided, fuck this. I got $10 million in the bank. I don't need any more than that. I don't need more money than I'm even going to spend if it means I have to work with these arseholes. If it means I'm not going to get the WrestleMania main event. He's the guy that decided, if I'm not going to be number one, there's no point, because there's no point in me doing this for money, because I don't spend a lot of money. I don't need mansions. I don't need cars. I don't need drugs. I don't need hookers. I need those things in my life. So I probably would have carried on working and just carried on living that lifestyle. If you look at someone like Batista, who said he ran out of all the WWE money, he made more than CM Punk. So what the fuck is Batista spending his money on? I know the guy's got 2 houses and fucking 50 muscle cars, because he's a moron, right? And probably like when you spend that money and then you need Guardians of the Galaxy and Disney to give you Guardians of the Galaxy, you're probably going to spend that money a little bit wiser. Punk didn't do that. So once he entered into conversations with these guys and he realized, you're not going to be in the main event. We don't care about your health. You're never going to be the guy here. It doesn't matter if you outsell John Cena. Doesn't matter if Daniel Bryan's getting cheered by everybody. We're still going to fucking bring in Dave Batista and put him in the main event anyway at WrestleMania 30. That's when he decided to quit. He quit on fucking principles. And then the problem is everything he said about this fucking company that's gone down the toilet since he left was true. It is fucking for kids. They don't care about pushing the wrestlers that you care about. They're going to shove Cena down your throat. They did shove Roman down your throat. They still are, right? All of these things he said were true. So whilst this product got worse and worse and worse, and the graph for the ratings continued to go down and down and down, CM Punk became more right and right and right while he was sitting at home. And whilst people chanted CM Punk, when they chanted CM Punk, it was always during a segment that was shit. Either they did it in Chicago or they did it during shit segments. They didn't really think that CM Punk was coming out. They were telling you, this is shit, and CM Punk was correct. So he became a symbol of the alternative of WWE. He became the absolute antithesis, and he became the absolute signing that AEW had to make. For AEW to say, we are not WWE, they had to sign CM Punk to say, we are not WWE, and we have the most not WWE symbol that you can possibly have. That cheer was a combination of, we're in Chicago, we hate WWE, and the symbol of everything anti-WWE has just walked out and has come to save wrestling. He won't save wrestling because the rest of the show is fucking shit. If you watch Rampage, as soon as he went off the TV, the next like 40 minutes were like pulling teeth. And Dynamite was shit too. So as much as like I want to praise like Tony Khan for giving this to us, and I was happy and emotional about it, I think they fucked up with everything that they've bookended it around. So, well, not bookended it because he started the show, but when they bookended everything around him on Dynamite, that was terrible. That was not the right thing to do to draw in a casual audience. Everything they put on after CM Punk left your screens was not the right thing to do. So AEW are already making mistakes that they shouldn't make, but it's not his fault. Listen, he's already broke the record for the T-shirts that their records for T-shirts sold. He's been there a week and he sold more T-shirts than anybody else has been there. And that includes the fucking Bullet Club guys and the Elite and all those guys. Smoked them in a week, right? The pay-per-view is going to be the record number of pay-per-views that he does. He's still going to continue keeping this number over a 1. His segments are going to make people record the show and watch the bits that he does. So your DVR numbers are going to be elevated. So he's already paid for himself and his merchandise will continue to pay for himself. And he's already got people like me and Cav watching it who didn't give a shit about this show. So that's all the reasons why this is the right thing to do and why it works.
Did you put that guy on timeout that asked when you became a CM Punk, Mark?
Yeah.
Because he messaged me. He goes, I'm not making fun of him. He's a fan like I am. I'm not making fun of the guy.
That's the thing, like, we're not, the fact we're not, like, sometimes the issue with Russo's brand is everybody is a critic of everything, right? We're not allowed to like SmackDown. We're not allowed to love things that happen. We're supposed to pick holes in everything. That's fucking bullshit. That's not the show me and Cav do. We've been on the Dirty Sheets now for what, 6 years, right?
Yeah, it's been a while.
6 years, right? 6 years we've been there. If it's shit, I'll tell you it's shit, and we'll critique it, and we'll say what we would have done, and we'll give like proper observational criticism, right? Where we won't just pull it apart. We wouldn't have a show if we sat there and went, oh shit. But at the same time, when it's good, so many times we've sat there and said, this is good, that's good, I'm looking forward to this. We haven't criticized Roman Reigns all year.
I was going to say, we suck off Roman Reigns constantly.
We have.
This fucking, I literally, you watched for him to come out.
Right.
Like he comes out and it's like, oh, all right. Like way into it. And that whole story, they have fucking storylines on that show. Like when Vince goes, I don't watch SmackDown, and I beg him every time. I'm telling you, that's the one show to watch. But I'm probably dumb because do you think he will say that's a good show? Probably not.
Who, Russo?
Yes.
No, he doesn't watch SmackDown.
Yeah, but I'm saying if I told him, I'm telling him it's good, it's good. Do you think if he watched it, he would say it's good? I don't think he would say it's good anyway.
No, the thing that's the thing. Like I said to him, you need to watch these interactions between Roman and Cena, but he didn't. So, but that's the thing.
Paul, like, everybody, you know.
That's up to people to make their decision what they like and what they don't like. But the fact is that I think we do our jobs properly, where we do say it's good, we do say it's bad. The issue I had with Roman this week is he said that when WWE said this week, and this is the last thing I'll talk about, I should have my news. They said SummerSlam is the most watched SummerSlam ever, and it has the most interactions online. Well, you know, interactions online is easy because that's what you guys are fucking going for. Like that's what everything is geared towards. More people equals more interactions, and more people is simple because SummerSlam was how much in 1994?
Oh, to buy? Right. I would say it was what was it, $50?
Right. Okay. Let's say it was $50. Okay. How much was SummerSlam on WWE Network?
$10.
And how much is it on Shitcock?
It's the same. I believe it's. I think I'm paying $10 on the premium tier, so $5.
Right, $5. So you're boasting about a show that was more watched than every other SummerSlam, and every other SummerSlam was at least $45 more expensive than this one, or double the price, right? At least. Yeah. So how are you boasting about this? They basically gave it to you. It's almost like, and also you've still got the free trials that are going on and everything. So that's the thing. Like you can't boast about something. It's like me fucking turning around and doing. So if loads of people watch the like this Nitty Gritty Dirt show we're doing now is free. Like so, I expect more people to see it here than the people that are paying on Russo's brand. But that's $3, right? But if I started doing a Nitty Gritty Dirt show for on the Dirty Sheets and it was $50 a month, and Russo said to me, "Oh, Billy, you know, the Nitty Gritty Dirt show is much better on here where it was $3." Obviously, because nobody's going to pay $50 to watch this. And that's the same thing with SummerSlam. Could you charge $50 for that shit, which wasn't shit overall, but there were parts of it that were absolutely unwatchable. I felt like I was falling asleep between but after the first match to when Becky came out. Like I wasn't interested in any of that shit when Eva and Maria Alexa was in there. And I know automatically like Priest and Sheamus, sure, like they're going to be having a good match. But, you know, I didn't care at that point. Usos and Dominic and Ray, like we've seen on TV. So
when they say most interactions too, they're also counting everyone going, this fucking sucks, yelling at them.
Exactly.
Because they're counting
interacting. They count it all sucks. And they're also counting the fact that the interactions they have with individual people. So the acts for, you know, your Drews, your Brocks, your Lashleys, all of that stuff, all of the interactions are counted as WWE roster people. So the fact that they, on their last quarterly call, they said they had 11.6 billion social media interactions throughout the quarter period, which is ridiculous. Like, it doesn't mean anything because some of those were going, you're fucking idiots for the way you're booking Karrion Kross. Oh, thank you. Thank you for interacting with us.
Yeah.
Fucking stupid, man. Like, that's the issue I had with what the Roman thing was this week, because it was the company line. And as I am who I am and somebody who does this show and gets the inside information, I knew that when WWE talked to Fox, they told Fox that CM Punk wasn't a needle mover, and he gave all these spreadsheets and information as to why they didn't want to sign CM Punk. So the company narrative is the same bullshit that they're giving to the company people who go out there and say this stuff in the media. Roman Reigns was being a WWE bitch this week, and that's nothing to do with his performance, his matches, or
company
anything
man
like that. It was to do with his own media stuff that he did, independent of his performance. So yeah, that's cleared that out.
Right.
When me and Russo did the show, we don't have these comments on. We would have been out here in half an hour.
One last thing, because we've just hit an hour. Last one, and we'll get out of here. And you might not even know, so we might be out right now. Any word on the length of CM Punk contract?
Yeah, it's supposed to be 2 years with an option for the third.
Okay, I was going for 3 right away because that seems to always be the way. Yeah, and I know during their little press conference, call-in thing, they didn't want to discuss it. So I was very interested in that.
He wanted it this way,
and it's $3 million a year.
Yeah, with 25% merch, and there's going to be pay-per-view percentages and everything. He wants everything he didn't get like before. Like, he thinks
Tony's going to pay for what Vince didn't give him.
Right.
Wow, must be nice to have made a car bumper or whatever the fuck that his father did and own the Jag-offs. All right, that's it for your Billy Gritty Dirt Sheet show this week. Since Vince could not wait around for Billy being bit by a ladybug, so we had to do this instead. I want to know the over-under of how soon Vince goes, I don't want to fucking work with you anymore. I fucking had it. It's going to be him who tells you he don't want to do it anymore, right? It's not going to be you who tells him.
I told Disco the story about it. I goes, Disco, what do you think of this? This has happened, right? Because he contacts me over the weekend about my betting picks, and he just said, he said Russo's the most unreasonable person that he's ever dealt with. He said he's drama. He said Russo's drama, but doesn't know he's drama. That's what Disco said. And I said, like, straight up, I said, like, normally, like, even me, I'd make like a bigger thing out of this, but the fact is that I didn't care this week. I was just like, look, okay, so I sent my sarcastic message, and we're doing the show anyway. Like, he's had a fucking shitty week with the Realm Network, or shitty 2 weeks with all that shit going on. Yeah. So, to be honest, like, he could do anything at the moment, like, and I wouldn't be bothered about it. Like, when people are like stressed to that degree, like, they can do and say whatever. I'm not the kind of person that's going to make it worse. I basically just gone away and just go,
you go, right, whatever.
If he'd done this on a normal week, then I'd be pissed off. But like, yeah, but like, you gotta like, I mean, he is my friend at the end of the day, so you have to like just say, all right, whatever. He's in a bad mood, so
I'm the idiot for always being the nice guy, and I'm asking, like, I message him after I see his tweet about things must come to an end, and I'll discuss it later. I just DM'd him and I said, hey, I saw your tweet. Are you okay? Not a fucking reply. So what? I don't know why I bother with a lot of people.
He's very like, he fucking hates email. Like, he's very much like, yes, no, okay.
Yeah, that's when it seems cold, because he's like, no, did it. When you message him with are we doing?
Oh, that was deliberately cold. Yeah. That's why I replied with, next time I'm gonna get bitten by something, I'll tell you in advance.
All right, well, that is your show this week. Go to my patreon.com/LingusMafia, because I have a shit ton of stuff up there, and for those of you in the know, I have my Super K5 show, and you won't want to miss that. And plenty of shows every week, multiple things. We had, as you were talking about, all these years weren't shit, because we always say, a lot of people, not you all the time, but we go, oh, it's been shit for 20 years, and it's not. And I got a guy who does the wrestling show on my network, Dijon, and he has gone into doing decades at a time reviews. And he's like done 2000 and stuff like that. And so where he goes, this is what happened during this decade. It is not shit. And
Who is
so
this?
he goes through.
Who's Antiles? Antiles, what's your actual name? I feel like this is someone that I'm familiar with.
It's not Atlanta.
No. It says, who do you think is more than Jericho's? Yeah, Punk's contract is more than Jericho's. Yeah. And
Jericho's doing his COVID cruise this year again too, so that'll be real fucking interesting. Where everybody's fucking dying on the plague on the open seas. So, and go to @Lingus Mafia, and Billy is at SGP Soccer on Twitter. You really need to get back a Dirty Sheets Twitter, because we don't have a show Twitter. It's like,
yeah, I think
we're all over the place except for the show.
On Conan's show this week, that like when we did that, because that's when we when we had Conan on our show. Yeah, that's really like blown up this week, and I was thinking like we should have had a fucking Twitter, but we keep getting kicked off. You should fucking start it, and you should run it.
I could do it. I'll see what's available for it. And I laugh because everyone messaged me calling me Linguist Mafia, because he couldn't remember the name Cav at all. After I introduced myself, it went in one ear, went right out the fucking other. And it's on the screen, so he doesn't see the name Cav. So
this is that we're doing the biggest download numbers on the Dirty Sheets that we've done in 4 years. So
yeah. And it's because it's a hot time. When shit gets hot, you come on. So people, you got to make people hungry. It's the same as Raw. If Raw was 1 hour, guess what? You'd fucking couldn't wait for the next one. It's 3, you want to fucking kill yourself. It's the same fucking thing. Don't fucking overload people. So, all right. I'm Cab Manning. He's Billy Body. We'll see you next time.
My name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as a big ass piece of shit.